Okay, this is lesson 16. And again, if you follow me here, there's Rav Nachman and Rav Yehuda. Rav Nachman holds Avadin Ishtino Lenafshe. That means a person is allowed to take the law into his own hands. And Rav Yehuda holds that a person is not allowed to take the law into his own hands. Okay, we're going to discuss a very familiar Mishnah. It happens to be the Mishnah of our Gemara, Hameiniach Hasakad. And our Mishnah has two sections. It has a Reisha, and it has a Seifa. The first part, which is the Reisha, the head, the beginning of the Mishnah, talks about if someone puts a cod in Rosh Hashanah and someone trips on it. I added it over there, v'niskalba, and he broke it. So the din was that he's pater. The second part of the Mishnah is if the person gets damaged by it, so then the owner has to pay for those damage. The owner has to pay for the damage. It's not the person walking, it's the person that put it there. And we learned that the Mishnah was talking about, we had different possibilities. Rav said that it was talking about where the entire Rosh Hashanah was filled with barrels and he couldn't walk by. And that's why, if he broke it, that's why he should be pater. Our question was, maybe he should really look where he's going. We said, he didn't have any alternative. There was nowhere to walk. Shmuel said it was talking about it was dark and he couldn't look where he was going. Rabbi Yochanan said it was around the corner. He couldn't see where he was going. Whatever the case is, one of them was referring to where it was entirely filled up and he had no other way of going. Okay. That being the case, let's go back to our Gemara. Okay, this is a new Gemara. We're going to start over here. It's Tashima. Tashima, come in here. Hameiniach Hasakad b'shasarabim. If someone puts a pitcher, remember kad was a pitcher? Pitcher. In Rosh Hashanah, in a public place. Uba achar, another one came. V'niskalba, in tripped on it. I put that in purple because we're going to compare tripping, which means an accident, to deliberately breaking. And then I put in I don't know what that color that is. That's some sort of blue or light blue. Okay, so if someone came along and tripped on it, v'shavra, and he broke it, by accident, of course, so then he's going to be pater. He doesn't have to pay. That we learned that in the Mishnah. Okay, so the Gemara is medayik, means it deduces. Taima means the reason is. Why is he pater? The reason is the niskalba, because he tripped. Niskal means tripped or stumbled. He tripped. Ha shavra. But if he broke it deliberately, shavra is like on purpose. On purpose he broke it. Shavra means to break, but on purpose he broke it. Then chayev. Then it would seem that he's chayev. Now, let's make a question. It seems that he's chayev, even though he didn't have any way to get through. Let's say it's talking about Rav's way of learning the Mishnah, where it was filled up, like I showed you before. And we'll learn like Tosfos learns. Tosfos learns that it's a question on Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says that a person is allowed to take the law in his own hands. And here we say that we're medayik from the Mishnah. We deduce from the Mishnah that if it wasn't an accident, he would be chayev. Why should he be chayev for breaking these barrels? He had no way of getting through. So it's a question on Rav Nachman. Let's just take a look at our chart over here. Rav Nachman held that a person is allowed to take the law into his own hands. And here we say the first case says that he's pater. And we can deduce from that it's only v'niskalba, but im shavra, he would be chayev. That's a ches. Should be chayev. And that would mean that a person's not allowed to take the law into his own hands and break the barrels without going to Bezdin. Okay. So the Gemara answers, we actually had this Gemara before, it sounds very familiar. Amar Rav Zvid Mishmei de Rava, Rav Zvid says in the name of Rava. By the way, whenever it says Mishmei, that means that he wasn't actually his student. He heard it in his name. If it would be a student, it would say Amar Rav Zvid, Amar Rava. But anyway, that's just a term that the Gemara uses. If you're wondering why it says Amar Rav, sometimes it says Mishmei and sometimes it just says Amar, you should know that that's the rule. If he's not a direct student, so then it will say Mishmei in his name. Hu hadin Hu adin means the same law applies. Afilu shavra, even if he broke it. In other words, this that we said before that he's pater. Let's get a new color for that. Let's take yellow. This that we said that he's pater. Can you see that yellow? This that he says that he's pater. That would apply even if afilu shavra, even if he broke it on purpose. He would still be pater. So if we go back to our little doodle over here, this doodler, it says Hameiniach hasakad. If someone puts a pitcher in Rosh Hashanah and someone stumbled on it and it broke, so it would be pater. And we deduced im shavra chayev that if it broke it deliberately, it would be chayev. That's not true. Let's erase it now because that's actually not true. Im shavra, the din would be pater as well. Pater. Now we're going to ask, so why does it say niskal? If he is allowed to actually break it, why does it say he stumbled and broke it? That's a good question. Okay, so we'll go back to the Gemara. The Gemara says, V'haidik tani niskal. In this set, it says that he tripped on it, he stumbled. Niskal is to trip or stumble. So why did it say that? So the Gemara says, ID is since. Let's take that off. We'll do a better color. We've been using green. ID since. The kaboy, it needed to. The word boy is needs. Limyasne seifa, to learn in the seifa. Now there's a quote. Im huzak, if he got damaged. So the din is Bal chavis chayev b'niskal, that the owner of the barrel has to pay for those damages. The dafka niskal, that in that case that's only if he stumbled. In other words, if a person was walking in their shusarabim and he sees some barrels there that are blocking the way and he smashes them and he gets hurt by them, so then the owner of those barrels doesn't have to pay for them. But if he stumbled on those barrels, then the owner would have to pay. The dafka specifically niskal, only if he stumbled. Aval shavar, but if he broke it deliberately on purpose, right? Anytime it's on purpose, I put it in I underlined it in bluish. Aval shavar, but if he broke it on purpose, loy, then the din would be no. He would be actually, let's put, not chayev. The owner of the barrel would not be chayev to pay. Rather, he would be pater. Why? Dehu azik nafshei. Because he damaged, azik has damaged nafshei himself. So katani reisha niskal. So because in the seifa it had to be referring to niskal, in the seifa it had to be referring to niskal. Let's go back to our doodler. So in the reisha it also had to be niskal. Let's just take a look. The seifa says im huzakba, that if the person that was walking got damaged by it, so then bal chavis chayev b'niskal, the owner of the barrel has to pay for those damages. Now this is only a case. Let's put over here, and we'll write dafka niskal. That's only if he stumbled and got hurt. But if he broke it deliberately, then the owner doesn't have to pay for those damages. So because this has to be niskal, so we wrote in the reisha niskal. So we asked before, if he broke it deliberately, it would be pater as well for breaking it. So why does it say niskal? If he tripped on it, then he's pater. So we said, well, because in the seif it has to say niskal, so we already wrote niskal in the reisha. But really, if he broke it deliberately, it would also be pater. Okay, this gemara I learned according to the way Tosfos learns, that it's a question on Rav Nachman. And Rav Nachman holds that your person is allowed to take the law into his own hands. So we said, why should that be? We see from our Mishnah that he's not allowed to take the law into his own hands because he would be chayev if he broke these barrels, according to Rav, where the whole Rosh Hashanah was filled with barrels. So we answered actually not. He would actually be pater, and we answered up Rav Nachman. So why does it say only if he stumbled? We said it needs that for the seifa. I taught it to you according to Tosfos, and Emir Hashem, I'll make another video, an extra credit video for Tosfos. The Tosfos that I'm referring to is this Tosfos right here, Taima Deniskal. And however, Rashi learns that the question's actually on both. And let's just get the Rashi here. Rashi says, Hashavra chayev. If he breaks it deliberately, he would be chayev. V'ukma Rav La'el, and Rav La'el means above, which means earlier. Rav established it b'mamali Rosh Hashanah kulechavos, where the entire Rosh Hashanah is filled with barrels. Alma, what do we see? Loy ovid inishtin ala nafshe. A person is not allowed to take the law into his own hands. Afilu b'makam seda, even if there's a loss. Which means that it's not a question on Rav Nachman. It's a question on Rav Yehuda as well, because Rav Yehuda would agree that a person's not allowed to take the law into his own hands if there's a loss. And nevertheless, we see that if the person cannot get through, which seems to be a loss, he's got to get to work, let's say, and he can't get through. So everyone would agree that he should be allowed to take the law into his own hands. And comes along our Gemara and a diuk in our Mishnah and says that he's not allowed to take the law into his own hands. So it's a question on both. Okay, so there's two ways of learning this Gemara. It's either a question on both, depending on if we consider our Gemara a case of a loss, or if it's a case of not a loss. So Rashi would learn that it's a case of a loss, and Taisus would learn that it's not.